Hey everybody, it's Crazy Bean Carol. How you doing? Today I'm going to be reviewing and comparing these 3 ADHERON lubricants. So last week you guys watched me unbox the RS3M as well as some new lubricants. In that unboxing I actually unboxed 4 lubricants, these ADHERONs plus the Lubist, but turns out there's another Lubist thing and the Lubist lubricants don't actually go together with the ADHERON, so today I'm just going to be comparing the 3 ADHERON lubricants. So let's get right to it. So all 3 of the ADHERON lubricants are $2.99 from thecubicle.com, and they all come in 20 cc's. Now this is 20 cc's, and times 3 makes 60 cc's. That's a lot of lubricant. I have DNM 37 and I believe I have like 3 cc's of it, and it's lasted me a few years. So really, I'm not sure why they decided to make 20 cc bottles, but it's the only option. If there was an option to have a smaller amount, I would have done it, because honestly, I'm gonna have to pass this down to like my great-great-grandkids. So obviously there are 3 ADHERON lubricants. There is a just normal ADHERON, there is an ADHERON light, and there is an ADHERON heavy. Now, according to the label on the bottle of the lubricant, the main goal of the substance is to slow down your cube, which is interesting. So it's not really lubricating the cube, it's more anti-lubricating the cube. But we're just gonna call it lubes. So these are pretty new lubricants, they came out very recently, and they're actually made in Poland, which is interesting. So the normal ADHERON comes in this blue bottle. It is a medium viscosity silicone oil, and its main goal is to make cubes smoother and slow them down a bit. It also has a little how to use instruction thing on the bottle, and it just says to put a small amount on a friction surface. So for all of these lubricants, because they all have these same instructions, I only lubricated the pieces, not the core. Also for this comparison, I used the same cube to test out all 3 lubricants. I wanted a control group because I didn't want to, change each cube that I use a lubricant on, then it would be kind of hard to tell how the lubricants compare. The 3x3 I used was the Yushin Little Magic. I know there's a magnetic one that came out recently, but I'm going to be using the budget one. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the Yushin Little Magic. I don't really like the way it feels. It can be a little bit uncontrollable sometimes for me, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to use the ADHERON lubricants, because they're supposed to slow the cube down. Alright, so the first one I tried out was just the normal ADHERON. So I wasn't really sure how much to put on the cube. The instructions on the bottle say to pour a small amount of the lubricant onto the pieces, so I didn't know how much pour meant. Also, like I mentioned, it's 20 cc's, so I don't know if you're meant to use a ton of the lubricant all at once. I'm used to just putting in a few drops and that's it, so that's what I did for this lubricant. To be honest, my first impressions when I started turning the cube was that there wasn't a difference. Aside from making the cube harder to grip because the surface was all lubey, I didn't really feel an immediate difference. I didn't notice the cube being smoother or slower. It sort of just felt the same. So maybe I thought I didn't add enough, so I added some more. There still wasn't much of a difference. And yeah, that's really the only result I got. I did an average of 5 using the normal ADHERON lubricant, and I got an average of 17.38 seconds, which is pretty slow to be honest for me. I was kind of disappointed with this lubricant because I was expecting a sudden change, but let's move on to the ADHERON Light. Now the ADHERON Light comes in this green bottle. According to the label on the jar, it is a low viscosity silicone oil, and it's not meant to do anything to change the speed of the cube, it's only meant to make the turning smoother, which is strange, because with lubricants you're typically looking to make the cube faster or slower, and in this case there wasn't supposed to be a change. But before I put the lubricant in, I needed to wash out all the pieces to get rid of the normal ADHERON that was on before. Between each of the lubricants in this video, I washed out the cube to get rid of all the lubricant that was on it previously. I didn't want the lubricants colliding and sort of affecting one another. So anyways, I put the ADHERON Light onto the 3x3, and again, I noticed not that much of a difference. Now I know the goal of this lubricant was just to smooth out the turning, which I guess it did, but that doesn't make the lubricant that special. I could have put literally any sort of oily substance into the cube and it would have probably made it smoother just because it's an oil. It wasn't a extremely smooth feeling, like a silk lubricant feeling. It was just like, yeah, I guess there's some oil in it. So that was strange. I was still expecting some huge dramatic change in the 3x3 with these lubricants, especially because they're so unique, I guess, compared to other lubricants. I did an average of 5 using the ADHERON lubricant and got a time of 17.63. That's basically the same as the other lubricant, so yeah, also not much of a change there. So once again, I washed out all the pieces, and it was time to try out the ADHERON Heavy. This was the one I was most excited for because even though the other two didn't have that much of a change, I was hoping the heavy lubricant would have a big, reaction. I was especially excited because you can tell just how thick the lubricant is. If you look at the air bubble move when you're sort of twisting the bottle around, you can see the different viscosities of the lubricant, and the heavy one moves really slow. Like, the lubricant looks super gummy. So I squirted a little bit onto the pieces and I noticed it came out very thick. It was very gel-y. So I squirted a little bit in because I didn't want to put too much in, and there wasn't much of a difference. So I thought maybe I didn't add enough, so I added a lot more. Aside from getting lubricant everywhere, on my hands, on the surface of the cube, on the table, I still didn't notice that much of a difference. So then I just dunked. Like, I just kept squirting more lubricant in to see if there would be any kind of difference. And when I did squirt the lubricant on a piece and just turn one side, I did feel a lot of gumminess. But I feel like the lubricant is hard to spread because it's so gel-like. The consistency isn't good for spreading around the cube. So there's sort of concentrated areas of gumminess, which isn't good. So once I did just sort of turn the cube a lot to try to spread the lubricant around, I didn't feel much of a difference. I just kept squirting more in, hoping to see some sort of overall difference on the cube. And it did slow down the cube, but not that much. Like, it wouldn't have made that much of a difference. I did an average of 5 on it as well. I got an average of 17.56, but really the only thing I was noticing was that my hands were really nasty, the surface of the cube was really nasty, it was kind of distracting. This is kind of disgusting. Really just not, so gross. Because I got an average that was pretty much the same as the other averages, there wasn't much of a difference. Also, I know that lubricants aren't supposed to drastically change the cube, but what I'm used to is putting a drop of lube in the cube and then it sort of instantly changing. With D&M 37, the best lubricant, or even like the angstrom lubricants, once you put it in and start to break in the cube, you can sort of instantly feel a difference. The cube becomes smoother, sometimes quieter, but in this case, it just sort of felt the same. So if you do own these lubricants, please let me know if you're supposed to maybe add more lubricant. That's the only reason why I would think they would give you this much lubricant. But I feel like I added in a lot of lubricant. If I'm at a competition or something and I'm like, oh, my cube's too fast, I want to slow it down a bit so it's not too uncontrollable, I don't want to whip out my ADHERON Heavy and then just like dunk a bottle of it into the cube. That would be really annoying. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed by these lubricants. I thought they would have a big change because they were really weird lubricants that I had never seen before. But to be honest, they just seem like random oil I put in a cube. So yeah, now I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing with 20 cc's of lubricant, or in this case 60 cc's of lubricant. I wouldn't really recommend these lubricants all that much. They are pretty cheap though, they're only $3 and you do get a lot, so if you just want a simple oil to put in your cube, I guess you could get these. But if you're looking for a great lubricant that's gonna change your cube a lot, I would settle with something like D&M 37, the angstrom lubricants, Mystic, stuff like that. Though I do want to mention that the label on the lubricant also said it's good for mixing with other lubricants, which I didn't try in this video, but maybe I should try that out and see if that makes any difference. If you have these lubricants, please let me know if you did something different with them. Maybe you lubed the core of the cube or something, or you mixed it with a certain lubricant that makes a good combination. Let me know in the comments below. If you do want to purchase these lubricants and try them out for yourself, I will link them down below. But anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time on Crazy Bean Carol. Bye!